While driving, the girl was distracted by her phone and failed to notice that she had changed course. By the time she realized what had happened, her car had already entered a desolate road with no signs of human presence. Panicking, she pulled out a paper map, trying to find a way out. Suddenly, a truck stopped beside her, filling the girl with inexplicable dread. However, the two men inside seemed to want to offer help. The bearded man told her that the roads in this area were complex and suggested she rest at their home before they escorted her out later. But after observing their faces, the girl dared not take such a risk and politely declined. Unexpectedly, the bearded man suddenly approached and maliciously snatched the map from her hand. The girl immediately sensed danger and turned to flee back to her car. However, the bearded man blocked the card, or under the pretense of returning the map. His behavior disgusted the girl, and she bluntly demanded they leave. Yet the bearded man tried to embrace her. Without hesitation, the girl fought back. Just as she was about to break free, the long minus-haired man picked up a weapon from the ground and stabbed it into her calf. The girl broke away from their grasp, endured the pain, and rushed into the dense woodland. Not daring to slow her pace for even a moment, she quickly hid behind a large rock, and while the two assailants had not yet caught up, seized this brief opportunity to treat her wound. She removed her upper garment and wrapped it tightly around her leg to stop the bleeding. However, due to this delay, the two men had already caught up. Seeing that they were about to search the exact area where she was hiding, the girl desperately threw stones to divert them in another direction, while she continued fleeing in the opposite direction. As night gradually fell, she reached a drainage ditch and, despite the foul smell, drank a few sips of water. She knew that to survive, she had to replenish her fluids. She kept encouraging herself mentally, found a sheltered crevice between rocks, curled up her body, and endured the long, dark night. The next morning, a loud noise woke the girl. Looking up, she spotted a rescue helicopter in the distant sky. She hurriedly got up, struggled to climb to higher ground, and continuously called for help at the top of her voice. However, due to the excessive distance, her cries for help were ineffective. With no other options, she returned to the riverbank and carefully cleaned the wound on her leg. After completing the treatment, the exhausted girl leaned against the rock and couldn't help but shed tears of grievance. She simply couldn't understand why those two men, with whom she had no grudges, wanted to put her in mortal danger. However, the persistent pain in her leg reminded her that to continue surviving, she must never let down her guard. Just as she had composed herself and prepared to continue her escape, strange sounds suddenly came from overhead. Frightened, she curled up in place, not daring to move. Fortunately, the two assailants didn't discover her. She cautiously observed their movements and only hurried away after the men had left. Fortunately, she found her phone in the rock crevice. The girl was both surprised and delighted, immediately taking her phone to search for a signal everywhere. However, no matter how hard she tried, calls couldn't connect. At that moment, her phone's battery died completely. Total despair made her break down in tears. However, to survive, she could only force herself to continue forward with sheer willpower. She had barely taken a few steps when everything suddenly went black before her eyes, and she collapsed heavily to the ground. Through her blurred vision, she saw what appeared to be a figure approaching her.